Calling meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please. We'll wait a second. All right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you everyone for that. Mr. Bayless is out tonight, so I ask for your patience as I endure this meeting tonight, so I appreciate that. Roll call first.
Butler?
Here.
Jordan?
Here.
Lipscomb?
Here.
Oprich?
Here.
Smith? Here. Thrash? Here. Vincenzo?
Here. Yes, everyone here?
Members are present.
I will.
Beautiful. All right, everybody get the minutes? Okay, any questions? Okay, so we need a motion to accept the minutes. Councilman French, seconded by Councilwoman Butler. Vote.
Butler?
Yes.
Jordan?
Abstain.
Lipscomb?
Yes.
Oprich?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Thrash?
Yes.
Vincenzo?
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 abstention.
All right, beautiful, thank you. So, new business, is there any new business that I don't know about? Okay. I have no information of citizen hearing, but I welcome people to the council meeting. And I don't have any record of any correspondence. So now we'll get through the mayor's report, we'll go through the reports, the mayor first.
Thank you. Just noting that we observed President's Day yesterday. It's a day to remember the sacrifices and contributions of the men elected to our highest office, and their service and sagacity helped to make America the greatest nation on earth, no doubt about that. Projects in the city are moving forward. The water line project is commencing, and soon these broken lines will be repaired. I'm sure Jeremy will give you more about that. AEP is working on repairing and replacing electric lines. If you've driven down to the west end of town, I'm sure you've seen the new towers up against the skyline. Just drive down Reservoir Road toward my backyard and you'll see what else is going on back there. Thank you to Chief Arbins and Officer Greg Clark for initiating the outreach program for Valentine's Day. I was honored to accompany Officer Clark as we visited many of our senior citizens, as well as going to the senior center next to the municipal building. We are blessed to have the opportunity to spend time with our seniors, let them know that we are here for them. Officer Clark has really run with this program. He's very attentive toward checking out on these citizens, and the police department is very active in well-person checks as well as the outreach. Thank you, Chief Arbins, for the opportunity to do this and for the caring. Valentine cookie kits were taken to Fox Run. Kids had fun decorating. It's good for these kids to know they have a big community that cares for them. And again, all items were donated. I had the opportunity to meet the new provost of Ohio University, as well as the president of the Eastern Ohio University branch. President David Rohal came over with him. We had a very productive discussion speaking about some of the collaborative opportunities which would benefit both the school and the town. And kudos to our library for the wonderful evening of entertainment they put on Friday evening, a trivia contest. There were probably 50 people there. I happened to be on the winning team, but Jason Garzik and AJ Hall put us over the top with a last-minute tremendous collaboration. That was really, really a lot of fun. I hope they do it again and people have a chance to participate. I know we have a wonderful announcement regarding classes for the rec center, but I'm going to let Christy talk about that. And I was privileged to go to Fox Run today with the police department, and the chief will elaborate on that, I'm sure. That's about it, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Questions for the mayor? All right, thanks again.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Is the service director? Yeah, there he is. You have a
Yes,
report
I'm here.
for us?
There's always reports, but we'll just skim through it real quick. We've got 4 pieces of legislation tonight. We've got the budget, a capital budget grant that we need as an emergency, hiring of a deputy electrical superintendent, emergency, and the hiring of a wastewater superintendent, and need that in emergency also. Had 16 different meetings throughout the past couple weeks. Completed projects, the gas aggregation, we signed today, the mayor signed that. We got a rate of 0.5790. So, pretty good. It actually reduced it again down today, so we're pretty much at the bottom where we can be at. Our liability insurance renewal was up. That was about 80, almost just like shy of $82,000. Our health insurance is also up, but we were able to negotiate only a 1.85% increase with pretty much almost the same exact benefits. So pretty good. We're working on some of that stuff. We talked about the Ohio EPA water grant. The paperwork was submitted for that. The Ohio Public Works Clean Ohio funding paperwork was submitted. We've got the budget. We're still working on water nodes. I-70 project, the south side has been extended. I have the pictures here if anyone wants to see them. They moved to the north side now. I'm going to work on that. Upcoming projects, finishing I-70, Route 40 extension, working on the county agreements, several of the other building projects, updating policies and procedures. We've got an HR meeting tomorrow. AFSCME has reached out about at least initial meetings, and then we'll have some water tank work that's coming up, including the inspection of the 1929 tank. Different departments are doing lots of different things. The electric department, we have an opening for a lineman. Pretty much everything else going through the same stuff. We've only had one water line break so far this year. Street department, patching potholes. We're still estimated that we only used about 100 tons of salt so far. We've ordered 200 tons and that's been in and delivered. We're still on the hook for another, 460 tons?
400,
yeah, somewhere in there, so we'll have some dancing to do. Rec center starting to replace the flooring in the front end, and then I'll let Christy talk about the Ogilvy Institute art classes.
I don't have any details on
Good to the city. No one's out sick right now. We've got several other projects going on and things. Contracts for the water distribution have been sent out and executed. We're working on coordination with that with the gas company, AEP, and several other entities, but we'll have a pre-construction meeting soon. I think that's about it for everything.
Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome.
Questions? Yes, sir.
We have a completion date on the I-70? Anything in?
Nothing yet, because we were still wondering whether or not we were gonna have to replace that culvert, so they've moved to the north side now. Just depends on how fast they can get that dug out, and then the extension put in, and then we have to line it. So as soon as that happens, going through. It's not as fast as I'd like it to be, but
And the
it is what it
excavator
is.
out of my yard?
Yes, the mayor has graciously allowed us access through her yard again, and she thinks she has the gem of Egypt parked in her yard.
I was called very early in the morning and asked if they could put an excavator in the yard. I'm thinking a little bobcat. I came out, and it is roughly about 8 stories high.
It's a big one.
Yeah, great yard ornament.
Dawn, do you have other questions, or is that answered?
One other question I have is, as far as patching, are we still in partnership with Richmond Township on that?
No, well, I mean, if we needed it for something, but we sold them the interest in it because we couldn't get the emulsion for it. So I'm sure if we wanted to rent it from them, that they would allow us to do that, but most of the time when we're doing stuff is just either hot patch or cold patch now and stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Tara?
Anything down on the road that goes to the ball fields?
Actually looking at doing that, they should have patched it. One of the things that we're looking at is the double tar and chip on that to go through. Obviously that road needs some attention back and forth. So we're working with the county on that. The county and the townships go together and get that number. We were trying to get into the program last year, but we couldn't get the legislation in front of you guys in enough time because we got into the game late. So Darren is looking at other streets, some of the other smaller alleys and things. that aren't gonna be affected by the water line project, that we could do a double tar and chip and get into that
So we
program.
could do
with them.
multiple areas,
Yes.
like
We're
down
gonna-
that road that we're talking about.
We're gonna
and then
try,
Different
yes.
alleys and
Yes.
things, like smaller jobs that we could
Yes, stuff
really
that
make a
doesn't
big
have a
difference.
base, that's something that we can get along with it.
Yes.
Now, also in the budget though too is, I was approached, I did a webinar on different paving treatments. An outside company is willing to come in, they will do an evaluation of all of our streets for $4,500. Third party, obviously, so everyone's hands off on it. But it gives us a spreadsheet that's got every street on it, it's got their width, the length, approximate, because they're guessing on what they think the base material is and things like that. But that gives us a leg up on being able to just jump into a street and say, okay, here it is, here's how much money we
already know where to
have,
start.
here's what we can do.
Okay. Good.
Good.
Thank you.
Other questions? I have one. The rate for the gas aggregate program, $0.579. Just signed that today. First of all, great. I think that sounds like a really good number. I mean, it was really high when we talked about it before. When does that start?
That I have to check on.
Okay, I'm just curious, like, do we have to wait so many months? Does it?
I don't think so. I think we're in the program and they're going through it.
Yeah, I
So
think we
as
are
soon as
too.
they can get the people signed up with it, that's when it starts.
Okay, if you could just kind of keep us
Yep.
up on that, I appreciate that. Anything else? Yes, Don?
On that, the people don't have to sign up, do they? Isn't it an opt-out?
Yes, yes.
So will all the citizens be getting,
They should be getting notification if they
Okay.
haven't already, because that was part of the process with the governance that they needed to do, is have that set up. So here's the rules that we're abiding by. They should have been sending stuff out, and then this was just something that they sent today. I didn't even see it until I got back.
so if they're happy with it, there's nothing they have to do?
Yes,
Okay.
And we can opt out anytime.
yes. Even the city, we can opt out with ours. We've got gas in this building, the South Sugar Street building, Rec Center. There's one more I'm missing somewhere, but we can opt out of the program too,
Okay.
even though it's our program.
Okay.
Anything else? Going once, going twice? You. Police chief.
Good evening, council. As the mayor alluded to earlier today, we were invited out to Fox Run, where the administration out there presented us with a $500 donation towards our canine fund. We're very pleased to get that. We have worked with, or worked on behalf of Fox Run a few times in the past. They unfortunately now and then have children that escape their facility and take off into the woods, and we've assisted the sheriff's office a number of times, either with the drone or the canines, tracking down and bring those kids back. So thank you very much to Fox Run. I'd like to say thank you to Belmont County Probation's CCAP program for bringing their groups of kids in one day last Wednesday, and they're coming back tomorrow, putting some paint on our basement area. And I'd like to say thanks to Officer Gazik, who's been coming up on his time off and putting a lot of time on that project as well. Speaking of canines, I know when I was on vacation in January, you guys had a chance to meet Canine Ruger and his handler, Wyan. They've been getting a lot of good drug hits. Last night, they got a felony one stop there at Burger King. And Councilman was asking me about that. That's all I have.
Good deal.
Questions for the police chief? Thank you. Appreciate it, Matt. Okay, finance director.
Eric Gay wanted me to let you guys know that he was applying for a grant, a $5,000 grant through JB Green Team for trash cans and new park benches in Central Park. And it's a 20% match. And then we did have a finance meeting, and a lot of questions were asked on the budget, and I think everything's pretty much hopefully answered. I would like to pass that tonight if we could, so we can move on with the projects and everything. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Annette. Questions? I know that there was a finance committee, so I'm sure there'll be finance committee reports, but any questions for Annette? I just had one on that grant that you just talked about. It's 20% match, so is that 5,000 plus 20% of that? Or
No.
it's a 5,000 total, and we'd have to come up with 20%?
We come up with 20%.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Planning and zoning, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. Just a few items for council. The big one I wanted to remind you of is that there will be a planning commission meeting. There'll be a public hearing regarding the request to rezone 17.5 acres of property located on the west side of St. Clairsville. The new owner, Ken Ware, would like to develop this property for commercial use and mixed use. And therefore, he has to request a zone change, because right now it's office and institution, and he's requesting to have it rezoned to C1 commercial. At present, the only proposed use would be a Honda Power Sports Honda Direct Line dealership. The meeting that we do have will be Monday, March 13th at 6 p.m. Anyone's welcome to attend. If council members, you want to stop in and take a look at just their existing grading plan or the conceptual plan that they have at this time, you're certainly welcome. But again, all are welcome to that meeting. This is the time of year that we have to review, update, and submit the annual report for the Ohio EPA regarding stormwater. So I'll be working on that over the next roughly month or so to get that submitted. The deadline is March 31st. And previously, I talked to council. The city has a CHIP, or Community Housing Impact and Preservation funding available. Anyone who's interested, wants to make improvements to their home, they can apply for those funds. The funding must be used for home rehabilitation and home repair projects. Eligible types of improvements include electrical work, plumbing work, roof replacement, structural issues, and other types of health and safety improvements. The homes must be private owner occupied, and there are income guidelines that must be met by the homeowner if they're interested. It is a great program. The grant funds do get forgiven. They do have to live in the home for a certain amount of time. But again, it's, there could be, I think the most recent one was on Hutchinson Drive, and it was well in excess of $60,000 that was put into the home to bring it back up to snuff. So if you meet the criteria and the home isn't too far gone, it's a great program. Bellamar, our regional planning agency, they kind of administer the project with the funds that we have, but someone can certainly contact me. My hope is to work with Robert DeFrank tomorrow maybe on a story, just to get it out to the public. People call me up once in a while with interest, and I try to keep their names so that when we do have it move forward. One property owner has already contacted me, and I referred them to the contact we have at Bellamar. So hopefully they meet all the criteria, and the type of work they want to have done meets with what can be done. And the last thing was more just if anyone's interested in St. Clairsville history, as part of that SAM.gov, we had to update something or some of the records. One of the things I had requested from the state was the incorporation. When was the city incorporated officially? So what they sent me was, it was passed at the first session of the 5th General Assembly of the State of Ohio, December 1st, 1806. It was when state capital was Chillicothe. It wasn't even Columbus at the time. So it's kind of interesting read. It mentions all the names of the residents that were going to be different types of officers and responsible parties. So if you're interested, let me know or email me and I can get it out to you. That's it.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that in history.
Yeah, no problem.
I do. Any questions for Tom? Mike?
Question?
Mike?
Tom, I think last meeting you mentioned a grant. Can you remind me, or remind us, you talked about a grant.
Yeah, that's the Ohio Oil and Shale Roads Program. We applied, and it's for, if we're successful, it's a very competitive grant, but if we are successful, we could get in excess of $500,000 in grant funds. It has to be for a specific road that had a certain number of trucks driving on it related to the oil and gas industry, and also a certain number of vehicles traveling on that road. So North Sugar Street was one of the only local, or the only local road that we had that met those criteria. You have 9 and 40, but they're not really local roads. That was submitted, and I think it's in the spring that we'll find out whether we were successful or not. And it does have to be in a certain, the number of well pads within a certain mile of radius of St. Clairsville was an important criteria also, and we hit that, we hit the highest category, so we could get the most points with that too. So we'll find out in a few months.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Tom? I just want to say, I think it's a good idea to work with Robert on getting that information out there about
Yeah,
that
I
grant.
definitely,
Grant opportunities for it,
right,
to home improvements.
definitely, yep.
Terrific. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Good? Good. Okay, now we're on to the committee meetings, and we'll begin with Councilman Vincenzo and the Finance Committee.
Yeah, we had a finance committee tonight before council meeting, and early in the year, but we're on track on all of our money and spending. We're also up for the budget tonight to be voted on for the second reading. We spent a lot of time in that 45 minutes going over pretty much line for line of every item in the budget, or almost every item in the budget. We got a lot of good information, a lot of explanations, and I think everything looks pretty good on it. And we'll see on the vote tonight. And that's all I have.
Questions for the councilman? Nope? Okay, beautiful. Thanks, Dawn. Utilities report, Ms. Councilwoman Butler?
Nothing new tonight, no report from the last meeting. Our next meeting will be on March 6th at 6:15.
In the
Yes.
council chambers?
That's correct.
All right, beautiful. Thank you. Police report, Mr. Smith.
No report, but the police committee meets after this meeting, whenever this gets over, about 5 minutes after.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mike on that report? Streets north side,
No report.
Mr. Smith. Streets south side, Mr. Thrash.
Just waiting to hear if we're gonna get that sign on Bethel. The
Speed
no
sign?
outlet sign.
We're working with Donnie and Darren on that.
What kind of sign?
No outlet.
No outlet.
Okay. Okay. Safety?
No report.
Okay. Buildings and grounds, we do have a brief report. We had a meeting on February 17th. We talked about the sinkhole, which, we talked much about that in your report?
No.
Okay, well, there's a sinkhole, it's a big one. And then we also, council got a letter from the TID, which we don't own, so I think that we've asked for our attorney to respond to that letter. We talked about the grant that we were able to use to purchase the Caliper property. We talked about, continued to be updated about other potential real estate that could be beneficial to the city. We have legislation tonight about the train station, right?
No.
We do not have that tonight.
That
We do.
was-
Junior
We do
fair
have an
building?
application.
Don't we?
Well, okay, yes, the junior fair and the train depot, yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's okay. We also talked about hopefully getting a new superintendent at the sewer plant, and assistant at the electric department. So we're gonna be having legislation about that tonight. Jeremy updated us about the flooring for the rec center. Discussed amphitheater, outdoor pavilion, work that could be done at the lift stations, and talked about some of the other buildings in the city and potential for improvement throughout the year. Talked about the fuel tanks, which are in the budget, and at our next meeting, we'll look at a specific budget for buildings and grounds. Projects that could be done in 2023. Our next meeting for buildings and grounds will be on Tuesday, March 14th at 1 o'clock, and we meet in the room right over there, adjacent to the council chambers. So any questions on buildings and grounds? Okay. Planning and the planning commission. Christie?
I have no report. Tom pretty much covered everything. I would urge everybody, if they have a chance, to go see all the paper, big blow-ups and stuff that Tom has of the proposed site.
Any questions? Okay. Fire district, Linda?
Yes, only that the board had the privilege of approving the hiring of the very first ever full-time female firefighter. Her name is Sarah Starr, and we just welcome her.
Fantastic. Questions? Okay. Rec, Christie?
Yes, the junior sports registration has finished. They had signups for 301 boys and girls. Indoor soccer registration ended with 73 kids. Indoor volleyball registration ended with 73 kids. The community garden registration will start the first week of March. All members who had applied last year will be contacted first, and then after that, they will reopen to the public any available spots. Jeremy mentioned the floors. Installation of the floors will begin, start the week of the 27th. The building will remain open during that construction. And the Ogilvy Art Institute will be offering classes starting in mid-March, and all registration and signups for those classes is to be done through them. I did check their website. I don't see where you can register yet, so, and I don't know what kind of classes. We were supposed to have a meeting last week.
There was an article in the paper.
Yeah,
so-
I did read that, but
Okay.
not enough to.
They're gonna have a clay class, they're gonna have
You're gonna have a what?
like clay pottery.
Clay.
They're gonna do a portraiture class, I'm gonna take that. They're gonna do a landscaping class, I'm gonna take that, and I can't remember what I thought. I can paint a little bit, not much, but I am. But they've got a lot of wonderful classes, but you're right, you have to sign up through Ogilvy Institute, which is 242-7700.
Yeah, I think you have to call because it's not on the website.
Right,
What's
And
that
the-
number
the
again?
meet-
What's that number?
304-242-7700.
Okay.
And the meeting is this Thursday, the 23rd of February at 4:30 PM at the Rec Center. Yes, ma'am.
Is there an age limit on the art? I mean, is it for kids and adults, or is it?
Typically, Ogilvy Institute, when I've taken classes, they'll have kids in there that are 12 or 13, and they'll have adults, whoever's interested in doing landscape painting or portrait painting. And I think they do have a couple exclusive to kids, and I can't remember what they are. But we've got a copy of that article for you, Christie. It's down in Jen's office.
I saw it, but I
Okay.
didn't have a chance to,
That's all right. Yeah, she's got it
Get it.
downstairs, so
okay,
we'll put it up.
sorry.
Linda, you have other
Thank you.
questions?
No, that was all.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't have the answers.
No,
but
you're good.
Our meeting got switched, so
I just had one quick, the flooring, is it February 27th or March 27th?
it's the week of
February.
February 27th, yeah. And it's just in the front of the building, so, they'll have other ways, I'm sure, to access.
Okay. Other questions for Christie? Okay, Park District, Linda?
Again, nothing involving the city, so I have no report on that. The next meeting for that will be March, oh my goodness. February 27th, next Monday, 28th, whatever next Monday is, I think it's the
27th.
27th, at 4:30 at Preferred Legacy Trust. And I also forgot to mention that the next meeting for the fire district is March 15th at 8:15 a.m. at the firehouse.
Okay, questions for Linda? Okay, moving on to ordinances and resolutions. Turn it over to the law director, Elizabeth Quick.
Okay, council has 4 pieces of legislation before it tonight. 3 under the category of first reading, 1 under second reading. The first up is resolution number 2023-08. That's a resolution authorizing the public service safety director on behalf of the city of St. Clairsville to file an application with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission for Train Depot and Fair Exhibit Building rehabilitation funding, declaring an emergency. Easy for me to say that. Jeremy, is this a 3-read or?
Like this one to be just one.
Okay. So the application's due soon?
Yes.
So it's requested that this be an emergency?
This was the grant that Eric had already submitted for under the capital bill. This is just another step that we have to go through and do it. It's earmarked in the capital bill, but they kicked it down to, what was it? It was the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. So we have to go through and apply to them now.
So the sooner we could submit it,
Yes.
the better chance perhaps of receiving the grant.
Well,
So-
we've already received it. It's already been earmarked. It's just we have to go
Another
through and
hoop.
do the hoops, do the
Okay.
dance.
So in order to process the money?
Yes, to process it. we
Okay.
need to- we
The
need to
sooner
submit
the
to
better.
them. Yes.
Okay, so that's 08.
That's 08. So
Okay.
if you want to go ahead and,
Do we want to do that? We want to do that?
yeah.
Okay, we want to
I
do that.
have questions about.
Questions?
The hirings, the 2 hirings, are they current?
Well, I think we're going to do one at a time, then when we do
Well,
that.
I was just gonna ask if they're current employees.
Well, we are going to go through.
Yeah, I was
So
just
when we
going to
get
act
there,
on them
absolutely,
one
but
at a
let's do
time
one at a
since there are
time.
4 tonight.
So we're going to stick on the grant, right? So
Right.
what do? We read it?
We'll read it.
Let's read it.
Resolution number 2023-08, a resolution authorizing the Public Service Safety Director on behalf of the City of St. Clairsville to file an application with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission for Train Depot and Fair Exhibit Building rehabilitation funding and declaring an emergency.
So there is a request for emergency language.
Is this where I asked the question?
Is it on this one here? Yes.
Is this a 100% grant, or does this have to be matched?
This has a match with it, but we were able to use the actual value of the property and the buildings as matches.
To be,
So no money out of our pocket.
Fairly little, but we've got money in the budget anyways to work on it.
What's fairly little?
I'd have to get the exact amount, but I don't know. It may be 20,000 if that.
Okay.
but you'll
most
let
of it-
us know.
Yes.
Yes, you got a question, or you're gonna
I
do that?
move that the rules requiring ordinances and resolution to be read on 3 separate readings be suspended and declared an emergency.
Okay, so we have a second. Butler? We got a vote?
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oakridge.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Okay, so now that's the emergency thing, so now we're gonna,
Okay. Resolution number 2023-08, a resolution authorizing the Public Service Safety Director on behalf of the City of St. Clairsville to file an application with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission for Train Depot and Fair Exhibit Building rehabilitation funding and declaring an emergency.
is enough of that? We got a motion, JC, we got a second? Tara? We gonna vote?
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oakridge.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Yes.
Vincenzo. All members are in favor.
Okay, beautiful, thank you. All right, you good on that? Next one?
Okay. The next two, because Councilman Jordan had a question, both concern hiring people, so if you want to go ahead and ask.
Well, can you just
I
say the
just wondered
numbers?
if they
Yeah,
were-
it's 2023-09 and 2023-10.
Okay,
I was just asking if they're current employees.
No.
They're not.
None of our employees have the right licensure that we need. That's why we had to advertise in the paper and go out. But we did let everyone know, we do have 2 employees that are gonna be taking their licensed, or their Class 2 tests in May, but the EPA has already called me 8 times since the last one resigned. So we can't wait that long.
so they're two separate.
They're two
Yes.
separate, yes,
So
yes.
which one's 09?
The 2023-09 is the resolution authorizing the hiring of William Burns to a full-time position of Deputy Superintendent of the Electric Department and declaring an emergency.
So are there other questions on, specifically on 09? No question, no other questions on 09?
On 09, I'm sorry.
Yes.
On 09 is declaring an emergency. How important is that on this one?
Would like to get him in here as soon as possible so he can start learning what's going on.
Okay, because I've heard information on the next one, on 10, but didn't hear much on the 09.
He's a retired AEP worker. He actually was recommended by one of our former employees who's now working at AEP. And I trust this gentleman that used to work with us very much, and if he says he was good, then he went in. Now, we did meet with him 3 different times and go through it. I met with him, me and Donnie met with him 3 times. And then the 4th time was the interview. The group I had for the interviews was myself, Donnie, Jaron Pitlack, our street superintendent, and then plus we had Dustin in there from the department. So there was 5 of us sitting on the committee for that interview.
And then it's like far as wages or anything like that?
Wages, it was based off of what we had from before. This is a position that was created by council, God, how long? 20 years ago.
Yeah, somewhere in that.
We had somebody in here for about 6 months and it didn't work out. So we were starting with that and starting about where we were and then negotiated.
So what is the salary?
His is starting at 65 and then going up to 70 at, it should be in the legislation,
It
at
is,
6
yeah.
months.
65 and 70 in the legislation. It's in section 3 of the legislation that they have.
Yes.
And this is not a vacant position?
This is not
just,
a-
I mean, this is not a
it-
newly created position.
It
This
is
a
not,
position that
it
on
was
the
a
books, just
vacant
not-
position that was created years ago, it just never had it. One of the points of discussion that I had when I started here was with Donnie, noting that I'm not gonna push him out, but whenever decides that he's thinking about it, retiring, we use the R word, I want somebody under him for 6 months to a year so that they can learn the ropes and pick out some of the stuff that's in his brain.
Other questions on 09 specifically, and then we'll get to 010 and have as much opportunity to ask any questions as you want. So 09. So there's a request for emergency language, and anybody would like to make a motion? I mean, we're gonna read it first, then we're gonna ask that question.
Resolution number 2023-09, a resolution authorizing the hire of William Burns to a full-time position of Deputy Superintendent of the Electric Department and declaring an emergency.
I move that the rules requiring ordinances and resolutions to be read on 3 separate readings be suspended and declaring an emergency.
We have a se- As President Pro Temp, I retain the right to vote. I will make a second on that. So let's get a vote.
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Obrich,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
So now would you like to read it for a vote? You need some help, are you good?
I got it.
All right.
Resolution number 2023-09, a resolution authorizing the hiring of William Burns to a full-time position of Deputy Superintendent of the Electric Department and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Jacob. We have a motion, JC, second, Tara. Do you want to do a vote?
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oprich,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
The third piece of legislation.
This is Resolution 2023-10. It's the resolution authorizing the hiring of Michael Reedus, Superintendent of the Wastewater Department, and declaring an emergency.
Michael Reed, there should be a
Those should be
space.
Reed, okay.
Should be a space in there.
All right.
That's whoever made the agenda.
I'm just telling you, I just want to make sure we have the right name.
Yeah.
So are there
Yeah.
questions on this one?
This is an current employee, correct?
No.
This is not.
No,
This is a current position, though.
yes. Jason resigned, his last day was January 20th. So we need a Class 2 wastewater operator to operate our wastewater plant. This is the one that the EPA has called me about 8 times on already, asking what we're doing.
And this gentleman has the proper
He has the,
certification.
yes, he has the proper licensure.
So this is the one that is imminent from the point of view of the EPA, getting somebody with the
Yes.
proper
You need to have a
certification.
licensed operator.
Yes.
What other questions do we have?
The salary here.
It is probationary 65,000, going up
Same
to
as the other.
67,500.
No, he only negotiated up to 67.5.
Section 2 of this one?
Section 2.
So I want to give plenty of opportunity for question. Why don't you read it one time, and then, again, if there's other questions, let's pause and have those, but let's go ahead and get reading.
Resolution number 2023-10, resolution authorizing the hiring of Michael Reed as superintendent of the wastewater department and declaring an emergency.
Again, we'll pause if there are any questions. Hearing none, we've been asked for this on emergency language so that we can get someone in to meet the EPA certification. So is there anybody want to make a motion?
I move that the rules requiring ordinances and resolutions to be read on 3 separate readings to be suspended and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do I ask for a second? Yes, I do, and Tara said yes. And now, you want to see about a vote?
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oprich,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
That's for an emergency, so now you're going to read it again, and we'll take a vote on the ordinance. Resolution.
Resolution number 2023-10, resolution authorizing the hire of Michael Reed as superintendent of the wastewater department and declaring an emergency.
I'll make a motion.
JC's making a motion, Tara, the second. Do you have a question? No. You're good? Okay. Okay, you want to take a vote?
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oprich,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Okay, so we have one final piece of legislation for the evening.
And that is ordinance 2023-7. And this is up for a second reading, though the finance director has requested that you pass it tonight as emergency legislation. And that's the ordinance to make permanent appropriations for the normal expenses and other expenditures of the city of St. Clairsville, state of Ohio, for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
So this is the budget that has been read. This will be the second reading, and so it does have emergency language. So if we chose to act
choose
on
to
an
do it, yes.
emergency, we could do that tonight. There is a request by the administration to do that. I don't know if Dawn is the chairperson of the finance committee, if you have a recommendation for the rest of the council, or?
Yes, I do, and I move that the rules requiring ordinances and resolutions to be read on these separate readings be suspended, declare an emergency.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. But I just think that
Means he wants to go with the.
yeah, but I just, as
emergency.
the finance committee, because you guys did your due
Yeah.
diligence in meeting, just, did you have any recommend?
No, well, like I said,
this.
we went over line for line.
Okay.
I believe we were all in pretty much agreement on it. I thought it was pretty, my thoughts, I thought it was pretty good. So I am in favor to
Okay, and
pass emergency legislation.
in a moment, we'll give you that opportunity.
We'll do it.
Do you have a question?
I'll second it.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do this first, and then we'll get this. So hurry up, Jacob. We're gonna, apparently there's something going on here.
Ordinance number 2023-07, an ordinance to make permanent appropriations for the normal expenses and other expenditures of the city of St. Clairsville, state of Ohio, for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
I'm just wondering if anybody wants to make a motion
Yes.
here for
As I said before, I move that the rules requiring ordinances and resolutions to be read on 3 separate readings be suspended and declaring an emergency.
And I'm wondering if we have a second. Ms. Jordan?
They can take it.
Okay, JC, second. Honest to God, we are not fighting about this. JC, seconded. Terrific. Let's do a vote, Jacob.
Butler.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Lipscomb.
Yes.
Oakridge.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thrash.
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
So now let's read it and see how we vote on the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2023-07, an ordinance to make permanent appropriations for the normal expenses and other expenditures of the city of St. Clairsville, state of Ohio, for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Jacob. Do we have a motion? JC, do we have a second? Tara? Want to take a vote? Jacob?
Yep. Butler.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Lipscomb.
Yes.
Oakridge.
Yeah.
Smith.
Yes.
Thrash.
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Thank you, Jacob. That
Thank you,
passes that
guys.
one.
Thank you.
Passes the budget, beautiful. Okay, that's the end of the resolutions?
Yes.
Yep, fantastic, thank you, Elizabeth. So, before we adjourn, does anybody have any other business they'd like to bring before council? I know that's a loaded question, but I think it's a good question. Mike?
I have a question. Is it by law that we can't meet like yesterday, since it was a holiday? Could council have met if we wanted to?
That, to me, is an Elizabeth
I
question.
believe it is. I mean, the,
Federal holidays are
yeah, federal holidays are
sacrosanct.
non-meeting dates.
So could council, I guess what I'm hearing, council can't overrule federal government? We don't have that much power?
Nope. Sorry.
So if it's a federal government?
Well, yes, I mean, yes.
Okay. Mike?
Okay.
Are there anything else? How about a motion or our next meeting?
Yeah, can I mention one thing very quickly?
You just got in.
I just was speaking, with the situation in East Palestine, I spent a video yesterday reaching out to people there to see, as a sister city of about the same size, is there anything we can do to help? Thinking, let's take drinking water up. Right now, they are in good shape, but she said maybe in a couple of weeks, we will need more bottled water. I've reached out to a couple of businesses, and Ted Showalter at Whiteside had volunteered a box truck. And if they give me the green light that, yeah, they're gonna need it, we may ask citizens, and I may ask Robert if, we could put something in the paper to ask people to bring cases of water to fill up a truck. So that's on the table right now, but just to let them know we're praying for them and thinking about them.
It's being a good neighbor, appreciate that. The next meeting is not a federal holiday, it's on March 6th, 2023, at 7 o'clock in the council chambers. We have a motion to adjourn. Oh, who should I pick? Terry, you get this one. Who'd like to second it? JC, you got it. Oh, wait.
Well, we got the official
Adjourn.